right, now with the colored pencil accents part, when I did the rough, I figured I'd use some where I created just some contrast and some shade, a little bit of a gradation. And again, a gradation is nothing more than adding and subtracting pressure in a pencil mark. So if I want to have an intense area of color, I'll just press a little bit harder with my colored pencil, and then I can just lessen the pressure as I make my way out, and I can create a highlighted version of that color. So that just creates interesting depth. It creates color value. And, adding and subtracting pressure, we're going to be doing a lot of this as we move into our colored pencil techniques. So let's say you did not have markers. You can use this technique anywhere on your surface to create some differences in value. Because look, if I have another color here and I try to put a darker color over top of an area of intense colored pencil where I pressed hard, it'll go over and I can still create a gradient, but it has to be a darker color over a lighter color. If I try to put a lighter color over a darker color with intense color here, it's not going to work, right? Same two colors. You can see it kind of accents it, but generally just turns it into mud. All right? So what I've decided to do on my final here is I'm going to continue doing some of the accents that I did on my rough, right? I created some areas of highlight on the face here. So maybe I want to just use the white color pencil again, create a little bit of highlight, just to draw my eye to that subject. A little bit of a highlight here, a little highlight on the nostrils, a little highlight on the upper lip, and on the smile, a little highlight down here. Okay, so I'm just adding a little bit of highlight. Now I could do what I did before in the television here, where I created that emphasis with gradation. So if I go up against this edge and press harder, and then lessen the pressure as I work my way out, you see how it creates a little bit of an accent. Now I can't create much of a gradation up here because I don't have a lot of space to create a gradient. But out here, it's just creating a little bit of an accent around the television tube, the screen part here. And it's implying, again, it's implying that there is something coming out of, right? That glow is coming from the screen on the TV here, on the device. All right, so it just kind of creates a little bit of depth. And I could do a little bit of that on areas outside here on the edge of the TV. Randomly through other areas, I said I can do something where I'm trying to create a little bit of a cast shadow, all right, below the television there. So I could use a darker color here and create a gradient. So I'm just using this darker color that's similar to the color I have below it. And I'll put it really dark right below the form, kind of like a cast shadow. Or an implied cast shadow. And then I can do a little bit of a gradation technique where I'm lessening the pressure as I work my way out from underneath the television set. More pressure, and then less pressure. And it creates that area of implied shadow, but I didn't use black. All right, you see how that creates a nice implied cast shadow below the TV. So that's how you're going to want to use the colored pencils. Now, there could be areas where, I have colored pencil and I left this area white for a reason. I might, in that area, want to create some contrast with that lightness. I'm going to actually create this highlight technique, right, where those yellow bands of color are coming off the television. I'm going to create a reverse gradient. So up against here, I'm going to match that color. And as I work my way to the TV, I'm going to lessen pressure. So here we go, right down to the TV. Now again, I don't have a ton of room here to do a gradation, but I don't need a ton of room. So if I zoom in there on that a little bit, it just gets lighter as I get up against the edge of the TV. Okay? So that's how I can just use colored pencil if I don't have markers to do overshading, like I did here. I can just use colored pencils directly, and it creates that a little bit more of a glow, because I can't do that with the markers. So light pressure up against that, a little dark pressure there, a little bit of light pressure, creating a little bit of a glow behind the TV. Now what I want to do is I want to create a gradient from here. So I want this blue to appear that it's going from this color blue to a lighter blue. So I'm going to use my white colored pencil carefully on the blue, and I'm strategically deciding where and how I'm using these colors. So I'm going to do white over top of the blue out here, and then as I work my way down, I'm going to get lighter. And that's a color pencil gradient, creating a transition. See how that creates a fade. All right. I'm going to do that for the others as well. Again, nice and controlled. It's going to be darkest up against this. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to work my way down. Now, I'm creating that highlight with value gradation at the top of these forms. I want to counterbalance that. I want to counterbalance that on the yellow forms with some orange. So I want to go darker. I'll show you that technique in a minute. And I'm going to do the same thing I'm doing here on all of these blue, radiating blue lines. And just lighten the pressure as I get down like that. All right. Now, I want to go the opposite direction on the yellow. So I'm using the orange, because yellow and orange make a great comparison color. Really intense. I can see a little bit of the yellow through. And I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm not going to go as far. So I'm going to create a gradient on the yellow with orange that kind of gives it like a little bit of a transition from yellow into orange. So you can see I'm just lessening my pressure as I work my way up, and I'm stopping right about here. Kind of just creates a little bit more like a sun flare, a little bit more of a glow. It just creates some more depth and interest.